Ever pondered over how a single woman could change the course of history? Today we delve into the life of one such woman, Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt. A woman of intellect and charm, Cleopatra was more than just a symbol of beauty. She was a powerful queen whose reign left an indelible mark on the annals of history. But to truly understand Cleopatra, we must journey back to the time period in which she lived. A time of turmoil and change, a time known as Ptolemaic Egypt, a time when the Nile was the lifeblood of a civilization, when pharaohs ruled and when gods were revered. Cleopatra navigated through this complex and fascinating world with skill, determination, and a keen understanding of power dynamics. Her story is one of courage, resilience, and strategic alliances. So who exactly was Cleopatra, and what was her journey to becoming one of the most powerful women in history? Born into the Ptolemaic dynasty, Cleopatra's early life was anything but ordinary. As a princess of royal blood, she was groomed for power from her earliest days. Her father, Ptolemy XII, was a ruler who faced constant political challenges, and these struggles would become a defining factor in Cleopatra's life. Cleopatra was not the only child of Ptolemy. She had siblings, and in the cutthroat world of royal politics, siblings were often rivals. In fact, Cleopatra's initial ascent to power was not a solo venture, but a co-regency with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. However, this arrangement was marred by disputes, power struggles, and ultimately civil war. Cleopatra, being the politically astute woman that she was, knew she needed allies to maintain her hold on the throne. It was during this time that she would form her first major strategic alliance, and this was with none other than Julius Caesar, the most powerful man in Rome. But that's a story for our next scene. Cleopatra's early life was steeped in political intrigue and power struggles. She was well-educated, fluent in multiple languages, and understood the importance of image and public perception. She often portrayed herself as the reincarnation of the Egyptian goddess Isis, using this divine association to consolidate her power. Her rise to power was not without its challenges. There were rebellions, conflicts, and betrayals. She faced exile only to return and reclaim her throne. It was a tumultuous journey filled with high-stakes chess moves where the board was the entire Mediterranean and the pieces were the most powerful figures of the time. Cleopatra's early reign was marked by political upheaval and personal loss, but it was also a time of growth and learning for the young queen. She proved herself to be a cunning, resourceful leader, capable of making tough decisions and forming strategic alliances to secure her power. Her rise to power was marked by political maneuvering and strategic alliances, but her reign was about to become even more complicated. Enter Julius Caesar, a Roman general who would play a significant role in Cleopatra's life. In her quest for power, Cleopatra sought alliances that would bolster her position, and Julius Caesar, one of Rome's most influential figures, was a prime candidate. Their relationship was more than a mere political alliance. It was a fusion of power and passion that would shape the future of both Egypt and Rome. They first met in Alexandria when Cleopatra, then a young queen, famously rolled out of a carpet to present herself to the Roman general. Captivated by her intelligence and charm, Caesar soon became her ally and lover. This alliance was instrumental in consolidating Cleopatra's power in Egypt. With Caesar's support, she regained her throne and eliminated her rivals. Their relationship also bore a son, Caesarion, further strengthening Cleopatra's claim to the throne. But this alliance wasn't just beneficial for Cleopatra. Caesar in turn gained a valuable ally in Egypt, a prosperous kingdom that could provide Rome with much-needed resources. This partnership marked a significant shift in the political landscape, intertwining the destinies of Rome and Egypt like never before. Their relationship, however, was not without controversy. Back in Rome, Caesar's affair with the Egyptian queen sparked outrage amongst the Roman elite, who saw it as a threat to their traditional values. Despite the backlash, Caesar stood by Cleopatra, even going as far as erecting a golden statue of her in the temple of Venus Genitrix. But their alliance would come to a tragic end. In the year 44 BCE, Caesar was assassinated, leaving Cleopatra and their son in a precarious position. Despite the loss, Cleopatra's story was far from over. Her resilience would lead her back to Rome, where she would form another influential alliance. But as we'll see, Caesar was not the only Roman who would cross paths with Cleopatra. After Caesar's death, Cleopatra found a new ally in Mark Antony, a member of Rome's second triumvirate. The triumvirate, a political alliance between Antony, Octavian, and Lepidus, was a power structure that held sway over Rome's territories. Antony, a distinguished military general, was drawn to Cleopatra for both political and personal reasons. Their relationship was a complex mix of love, power, and political maneuvering. Cleopatra, the ever-astute queen, saw in Antony a chance to strengthen Egypt's position. Antony, on the other hand, was captivated by Cleopatra's charm and intelligence, and also saw the strategic advantage of aligning with Egypt. Together they formed a potent alliance, strengthening each other's political standing. Cleopatra bore Antony 3 children, further solidifying their bond. But their union wasn't without controversy. In Rome, their relationship was viewed with suspicion. Antony's wife, Octavia, was Octavian's sister, and this tangled web of relationships led to increasing tension within the triumvirate. Antony's allegiance to Cleopatra was seen as a betrayal of Rome. His decision to grant territories to Cleopatra's children incensed his fellow Romans, who saw this act as favoring Egypt over Rome. This tension culminated in the infamous Battle of Actium, where Antony and Cleopatra faced off against Octavian. This battle would mark a turning point in their fortunes. Their union had profound implications for both Egypt and Rome. For Egypt, it was a period of relative prosperity and stability. Cleopatra, with Antony by her side, wielded considerable influence over the Mediterranean world. However, for Rome, it was a period of political upheaval and conflict. In the grand scheme of things, Antony and Cleopatra's alliance was a gamble that promised immense rewards yet carried the risk of catastrophic failure. They dared to dream big, to challenge the status quo, and to carve out a place for themselves in a world dominated by Rome. Their union would have profound consequences both for them and for their nations. Antony and Cleopatra's story is a tale of love and power, of ambition and downfall. It's a tale that continues to captivate us, reminding us of the complex interplay between personal desires and political realities. Beyond her romantic alliances, Cleopatra was also a shrewd and effective ruler. She was a woman of intellect and charisma who understood the art of governance and administration. Fluent in multiple languages, Cleopatra was the first Ptolemaic ruler to actually speak the Egyptian language, which endeared her to the people and allowed her to rule directly rather than through intermediaries. She was also a visionary economic strategist, implementing policies that improved Egypt's wealth and prosperity. Her economic reforms led to the minting of her own currency, which was a vital tool in establishing her sovereignty. In addition, Cleopatra was a great patron of the arts. She encouraged cultural growth and promoted Alexandria as the cultural epicenter of the world. Her court was a hub for philosophers, scientists, and artists, and under her reign, the Library of Alexandria flourished. Yet despite her successes, Cleopatra's reign was facing an impending threat. The rise of Octavian, later known as Augustus, would herald the end of Cleopatra's reign. With the defeat at Actium in 31 BC, Cleopatra's world began to crumble. Her lover and ally Mark Antony, misled by a false report of Cleopatra's death, fell on his own sword. Cleopatra was captured and brought to Octavian, who had plans for her to be paraded in his triumph back in Rome. The Queen of Egypt, however, had other plans. Legend has it that she orchestrated one of the most iconic exits in history, choosing to end her life rather than be paraded as a trophy. The tales tell of a venomous asp hidden in a basket of figs, delivering the fatal bite. Yet the truth of her death remains shrouded in mystery, as no snake was ever found. The end of Cleopatra marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the end of Egypt as a significant power in the Mediterranean. Egypt was annexed by Rome, and the age of the pharaohs was over. But Cleopatra's story was far from over. Her legacy would endure, echoing through the corridors of time. Cleopatra was not just a queen, she was a symbol of power, intelligence, and seduction. In her, we find a woman who navigated the treacherous waters of politics in a man's world, who commanded armies and who captivated the 2 most powerful men of her time. Her life was a testament to her strategic acumen and her indomitable will to survive. Today, Cleopatra continues to inspire. She is a recurring figure in literature, film, and art, a symbol of female empowerment and timeless allure. She has been immortalized by Shakespeare, depicted by Elizabeth Taylor, and studied by scholars around the world. She continues to fascinate us, her story a rich tapestry of power, passion, and political intrigue. Cleopatra's life was filled with drama and intrigue, but her story doesn't end with her death. It lives on in the pages of history books, in the hearts of those who admire her, and in the legacy she left behind. Over the centuries, Cleopatra has transcended her historical era to become a cultural icon. Her persona and life story have been woven into the fabric of literature, art, and popular culture, painting her as a figure of power, intelligence, and enchanting allure. From William Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra to the silver screen of Hollywood, she has been portrayed with varying degrees of historical accuracy, often reflecting the attitudes and fantasies of the era more than the woman herself. In art, she's been depicted as the epitome of exotic beauty, while in literature she's often portrayed as a shrewd and cunning leader. Her story has inspired countless novels, movies, and even operas, demonstrating an enduring fascination with her life and character. This fascination speaks to her unique position in history as a woman who defied conventions and wielded power in a male-dominated world. Thus, Cleopatra's influence extends far beyond her reign, continuing to captivate us even today. Cleopatra's life was a saga of power, intrigue, and passion. Born into a world of royal rivalry and political turbulence, she ascended to the throne of Ptolemaic Egypt, steering her nation through a period of dramatic change. Her alliances with two of Rome's most powerful men, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, were not merely romantic entanglements, but strategic moves that significantly influenced the political landscape of Egypt and Rome. Cleopatra was more than a charismatic queen. She was a shrewd politician and an enlightened ruler who made substantial contributions to the governance of Egypt, strengthening its economy and promoting the arts. Despite her tragic downfall, sparked by the rise of Octavian, her legacy endures. She continues to captivate our imagination, resonating through literature, art, and popular culture. Cleopatra's story reminds us that history is not just about dates and events, but about real people who shaped the world in extraordinary ways.